I'm going to be talking about food speculation and talking about echoing actually some of what Stephanie said this morning about the need for regulation and the problems with deregulation. So, first of all, food speculation, what is it? I'm sure I don't need to explain this to most of you, but food is traded. Real food is a real thing that's traded on markets, and people buy, people sell. But built on top of this, there's a financial market where people trade bets on the future price of food, and that's food speculation. The two markets are obviously very interlinked. There's been much debate about the ways that they're interlinked and the extent to which food speculation is contributing to some of the massive food price rises that we've seen in the last few years. But the bulk of the analysis says that food speculation not only contributes to an increase in food price rises, it also is contributing to this increase in volatility that we see with massive spikes. And the impacts of that, again, I don't have time to talk about a lot, but we all feel the impacts of the increase in food prices. But if, like many people in the global south, you are spending up to 90% of your household income on food, then any fluctuations in prices are obviously going to massively impact your ability to feed yourself and your family. So how did this system that enables this to happen come about? I've got some vaguely relevant pictures. In the 1800s, futures contracts were created to help farmers deal with the uncertainty that's inherent in farming and growing crops, so that they could have a guaranteed price at which they would be able to sell their crops at a future date. But in the 1900s, these futures contracts were increasingly being bought and sold by bankers and other traders who had actually no involvement in the actual food being traded, but just wanted to make money from betting on the price of food. Now, following the Wall Street crash in the 30s and the Great Depression, as has been mentioned already, regulation was introduced, including regulation to limit this type of speculation on commodities and food. And then we had a period of kind of relative stability, I suppose, until in the 1990s, really aggressive lobbying from the banking sector and the willing hand of neoliberal governments in America, and here particularly, resulted in weakening of the regulations. And this created a massive influx of money from banks, pension funds, hedge funds into the futures markets. What's really interesting to note is who is it and how the composition of who's trading in these futures has changed. So in 1996, on the chart on the left, I don't know if you can see the figures, they're quite small, but the blue part of the pie chart is, I think that says 88% of that. 88% of futures contracts were being traded by people who needed to secure their future, by producers and consumers who wanted to hedge their bets for the future. Skip forward after this process of deregulation to June 2011, and we can see that the lion's share of those futures contracts are being traded purely for speculative activity by people who have actually no connection with the underlying market. So it was deregulation that enabled these problems to arise, and at WDM, with our allies, we've been campaigning for a return to limits to speculation. So I guess in a way we want to see a return to the pie chart on the left, where futures contracts are there to support producers to hedge their risks and not there for people purely to make money and interfere with the markets. And we're also calling for all this activity to take place on regulated exchanges, whereas a lot of it at the moment happens under the counter, over the counter on very untransparent mechanisms. So just to finish, I wanted to just say give a note on how we work on this issue and how we campaign on it, and answer perhaps one of the questions that's in the blurb of this session, which is the burden on us to become more active and engaged economic citizens, demanding more of those who manage our money? Well, I think that the burden is on us to become more politically engaged citizens, demanding more of the governments who regulate those who manage our money. And although what I've talked about today is glossed over some quite technical solutions, I think if we don't create and support and join social movements who are calling for change to our financial system, then we won't succeed with any of our aims. Thank you.